So hi guys, welcome to stages 56, 57, and then the third stage that I'm calling 57A. Just like the last pack, at the end we had an extra stage which they didn't really name the stage, so I called it 48A, 40, whatever stage it was with an A on the end. All it is just assembling some of the sub-assemblies that we put together. Please also note I've started using a new camera. My last front camera packed up, so I'm using this one. As you can see, it's got this ring light. It might improve the quality. I don't like it, it's kind of glaring, but it does switch off when I switch cameras, and then it switches on when I... But yeah, so you're going to see for quite a few weeks you're going to mix of this camera for the front view and a different camera on some other videos until it all catches up. It won't affect the down view of the actual build. Right, let's see how I get on. This is issue 56 and this is titled Roof Components and Another Two Tools. The parts list I don't think is anything that we haven't seen before. I'm trying to get a really good working camera angle. So we have a storage box, nice. We have a medium raised walkway. We have a large raised walkway with a little hole. Note that hole. We have a small raised walkway. All of these, most of these have a hole in them. We have a hydrant wrench. We have a compartment handle. That's nothing we haven't seen before. And we have a halogen bar. Now I also have some super glue gel at the ready just in case. We also have the water cooler from the previous issue because I know we will need this, and I have a feeling we will need this compartment. If you remember, I said that this came out of, I think this came out of that compartment, but I'm not actually going to put it in until we're called for it. I've just noticed my light interferes with the other camera. Right, so we begin with the large raised walkway. That's going in there. And we have a small hole which needs to be on the right hand side. Got a confession to make, guys. I did start to film this and I then realized my microphone wasn't on, but then all of these are push fit connections, so all I did was just remove all the parts and start again. That's why I know so much about it. Right, next is the water cooler from the previous issue. Now this has got a shaped peg with a flat bit there, and this wants the hole in the raised walkway wants the flat bit there. I don't suppose it matters which way round this went, but I think they've done the shaped peg so that it fits better and it doesn't rotate. But that's in nicely. And then the next step is we want a small raised walkway, and that's got two pegs, and that's going into there. And it looks like the two pegs are, it looks like one's larger than the other, which means there's only one way this can fit in. This part I haven't actually done previously. That's in fine, that's okay. We'll give it a little look from the side view. I don't like handling the body. There is a bit of gap there, but there is meant to be a gap. It's called a raised walkway. Yeah, I don't like handling it too much because every time I handle it, I seem to knock off a pokey out bit. Right, so next we have got the storage compartment, and we want to put the handle on so it's pointing that way. So a small dab of glue. Do you know what? I did genuinely get the glue out as a just in case. If you've been watching the other issues, you'll notice that there are some push fit connections which just really don't push fit that well, so I end up gluing them, and I forgot that all of the handles we tend to glue them in. So I'm using my tweezers. These are only cheap tweezers, but all you really need is something just to hold it. There we go. So that's in. That's that piece done. Next we want to pop this container onto the end there. You'll see there's a couple of holes, and that goes into there like that. Do you know what? I complain about this model, the connections don't fit, this, that and the other, and then suddenly the next issue everything is just perfect, and then I don't know. Right, so next is the medium walkway. There's no holes on the top there, so it's a case of any way round. That went in too well, but it's in nice. And then, excuse me. So lastly, we want to turn the body around. It's probably best to turn the body using the wheel archers. There's a nice place to hold there, and then pop 2 or 3 fingers in there, or excuse me, or on the opposite. So we definitely do want this this shelf, and what we want to do is pop the wrench on there. No, we don't. The wrench, not the Halligan bar. That's in there, and that's going to just pop into the shelf like so. Easy peasy. So one thing I'm noticing about this model is that there are lots of, I mean obviously there is a crew of, did we say 6? Yes, there's a crew of 6. So it makes sense that some of the equipment's duplicated. Bear with me one sec. I'm so sorry, I needed to blow my nose, but I didn't want to stop the camera. So obviously we need lots of different equipment duplicated because there's more than one person using it. However, what I'm noticing is where the equipment is laid out, it seems to be the same on the opposite side, which is obviously a good thing. Right, so lastly, slide the shelf back, remove the shelf from the compartment next to the outrigger, which I believe will be, it doesn't say which outrigger, however you can see there's an outrigger there and a handle there, so it must be this one, and there it is. And we need to pop the Halligan bar. I really want to call that a crowbar, but really the word crowbar wouldn't do it much justice, would it? This is like a fireman's multi-tool. It's essentially, it's a hammer with a kind of crowbar on the end, so it's neither crowbar nor, that's having difficulty going there because there was a bit of flash on the peg, and I see I've got a little bit of problem with the super glue there. The fumes have made it go a bit white, but I'm not going to worry too much. And that is issue 56 complete. So stage 57, right hand side wheel arch cover and compartment cover, and again I don't think this is anything that we haven't already seen. So we start off with a parts list as always, and there are some small fiddly parts, and I'm recognizing all of these parts so far. I'm not going to get these out till they're needed, which will be very soon. But if you didn't see them in that bag there, you will recognize them. And these bags sometimes are just big enough, literally just big enough. I think we're going to have to turn the truck around as well. So we have a ladder, we have a storage compartment cover, we have a raised walkway. I am laying these parts out in the order that the magazine has laid them out. This is an emergency light frame, we have an emergency light lens, and then we have a work light. So I'll keep those in the bag. Then we have a wheel arch cover, and we have a side marker and a electrical socket, which I'm actually going to put all the way to one side because I think we're going to need those. Well, we will need them later, but I think we're going to be moving the chassis around. Right, so glue at the ready. We need to take the emergency light frame, and I'm not even going to take any chances. I'm just going to pop the glue straight into there. PVA glue might be a better option for you. If you put too much glue in, the fumes from the super glue could fog the lens. We'll probably get away with it because it's quite a small lens. There we go. But PVA glue will hold that, not so strong. That's strong enough, not as strong as super glue, but it won't fog. Right, so next up we have the wheel arch cover, and I'm going to start this end because I'm just going to give that a bit more time to dry. So we'll start off with the, I'm trying to use the exact words, I'm prepared to fit the work light. It does actually say to apply the work light first, and it doesn't matter which way round you do this, but I'm choosing to do it this way. For, like I said, I'm just going to allow that glue to dry. There we go, that's in. So much easier with tweezers. Why do I tell you to do this, that and the other? It'll be easier to do this, that and the other, I say, and then I don't do it myself. So the emergency light mark is this emergency light marker. This is actually a light on the actual truck. It's not a light on the model. And I think that's just going to need a little more time to set. It really doesn't want to go in. So we'll just be a bit doubly sure. We'll pop a little bit glue on the pegs on the inside. This isn't going to take much damage. No, it's still not happening, is it? Right, let's get the tweezers and we'll apply glue on the edges of the light, all except the corner where the tweezers are. The reason I'm not applying in the corner is I don't want to stick the tweezers to the light. Excuse the sniffing, guys, I'm so sorry. I just hope I don't have an allergy to cats. Is it possible to have an allergy to a particular cat? There we go. That's just going to need a little bit of time, I think. Once that dries, that's fine. Right, so unfortunately we are doing more work on this. I say unfortunately, it just means that we're going to risk damaging the parts. So we need the emergency socket, and that's going to go in the little tab just below the light. The worry I'm having right now is that I'm going to knock that while it's drying. Once it's dry, it's going to be solid as you like. Right, now this does have a horseshoe shaped socket. There we go, and that's not going to stay in there, so we'll use our little cheat from behind and we'll just pop a bit of glue on there. Oh look, that is not setting at all, is it? I think my glue is dud. think I might need to take a little break just to allow time for that to set. And I'm sure there's one more thing going on there. Yes. So we have this marker light which needs to go on this last hole there, and believe it or not, that is a semicircular horseshoe shaped socket. So it does need to go in the correct way, and surprise surprise, it's not sticking. So I don't know best way to handle this. I think I'm going to put glue onto the piece rather than onto the target. Make sure I get some on the peg, and I'm going to just pop a little bit into the hole. And then that goes in fine. Right, so I possibly put a bit too much glue. Yeah, that's sticking a little bit better than it did. Look, it's not fully cured yet. I think I need to rethink my super glue gel plans. Right, so as I thought, we're going to have to turn this around. So I'm finding it easier, 4 fingers under there, 2 fingers under the opposite wheel arch. And then if you can't move at 180 degrees, just move it 90, readjust your position, and then move it the other 90 degrees. That sounds quite basic, but it's something that even I've not been following, and I have done minor damage to this. So I've taken the masking tape off the compartment there because I need to access this. And all we are allegedly going to... Oh, no. We need to first of all pop the compartment cover in, and that's just going to go in hopefully as a push fit connection. We've got 2 holes there which go into there, and you need to manipulate that, guys, because the gap between the reel and there, it was just in the way a little bit. Right, that's very gappy. Look at that, that's awful. So let's have a little push. I'm really not liking that. I'm almost tempted to cut these pegs out and glue that in, but I'll have a wiggle because it might... Well, let me check the other side. Yeah, there's no gap on the other side. There's actually a lip at the front. Do you know what? I really don't know what to do about that, guys. It's in, and it's in okay, but there's a big gap, massive gap. I'm really tempted to cut those tabs off. Right, let's carry on building, and then we can look at it, because that's only a push fit, so it will come out as easy as it went in. So the next thing we want to do is pop this walkway in. That pushes into the top, and that's so loose. That's going to have glue on the pegs. Apologies for any noise. It's not right early morning, but it's the morning time, which seems to be kitten play time. Morning and evening is his main play time. Right, I'm going to leave that. No, I'm not. I don't think that's going to glue. Right, I'll try some glue along these walkway, these bits that raise it up. But by doing that, I'm gluing a flat surface to an uneven surface. So this is going to need all the help it can get if I need to glue it. Right, I'm really not happy with the fact that I need to glue so much. but that's stuck, that's sticking. It's not set, but it's sticking. Right, and that is the stage complete. No, it can't be the stage complete. I have actually missed a complete stage out. So before I did that, I need to pop this on, which we know what we're doing here, don't we? We've done it before. 2 pegs. Why is there no peg there? That's interesting. So middle peg, left peg, and that's on. So let's take this off again. Maybe that makes a difference. I find it interesting that there's only 2 pegs. I would have thought there'd been 3. I think there was 3 on the last one. Yeah, that really does need to go down further. But it's okay. It is okay. It's not completely ugly. So that's that stage done. We have here one ladder, which we will pop in the box with the other ladders. We've got a bit of a collection going on now. And yes, there we go, guys. That's perfect. So just like the last stage, the last pack where they gave us this extra stage to do, to just put some bits together, they've done the same on this one, where we're going to be installing the seats into the cab. So I'm going to call this 57A because it's not part of 57, and obviously the next pack starts with 58. So this is going to be installing seats into the cab. So we are going to need the body of the truck turned upside down. Now I have already done it on a towel, and there's quite some flat bits. There's no really pokey out bits. We're also going to need the seats that we've done in the previous issue. There they are. I'm going to put. They will go out of sight, but they are just handy. And we're going to need some various little bits. We're going to need this little steering mat. Let's get them out of the packet. It'll be a lot better. I do apologise. You're not going to see. Obviously, I'm making this about a month or so in advance. I have just come back from the vets, having taken Little Spirit. She's had a check, she's had her vaccinations, and she's been chipped, and she is such a healthy cat according to the vet. I am so pleased for her. But she seems to be, she's just been stuck in a cat carrier for about 10 minutes there and 10 minutes back, so she's quite grateful she's been let out. Right, so we prepare the seat assembly and the steering strut bracket, the steering wheel, the column, the steering column. Is that this? I think that's that, isn't it? And the securing tab from pack 2, steering strut stroke bracket, steering wheel, column, and securing, plus 2 type H screws. I'm a little bit confused on this. This might be a bit of a start-stop issue. Why can't I find H screws? A, B, C, D, E, F. I can't find my E. Have I had them out? E, F, G, H. Right, what I've done, guys, is I've obviously had some screws out and not put them back in the box, because the E, F, I store my screws like this, because I can only get 4 in, so E, F, G and H is not present. Right, okay, I'm not going to panic. I'm going to panic. Bear with me a sec, guys. Okay, so panic over. I have not found the H screws, but I have found something absolutely the same from another build. So guys, please look after your screws and your screw boxes. This is what my screw collection, and I've obviously mislaid one box, but not a problem. So I've also looked through the instructions, because I was looking at maybe if later stages had some H screws I could steal, but it's all good. And what I've discovered is that you are going to need obviously this steering column, that's a definite. You're going to need the steering wheel, which we've already established. You're going to need this part and this part, which is going to be secured with an L screw, which they haven't mentioned, and you are going to need this little white bit. So it turns out I do need the entire bag. So let's crack on with it. So 57A. So we start by ensuring that none of the cables are running over the screw posts. So these are the two screw posts which are extremely important for the installing of the seats. So obviously we'd like them running through that middle channel, but that's not going to happen because there's nothing to lock it down with. We've done a test on all the electronics, so we know everything works. So the first thing we want to do is place the seats into the cab by turning them upside down and roughly lining these holes up. Now I'm going to need to take a look, and sorry, I've just noticed that I've got a key. Sorry guys, I'm going to have to take my headphones off for just a second. I had my house key on mine on a necklace. Sorry, so I've got my key dangling. Sorry guys, I'm going to have to move the camera just so that I know that I can get these lined up. Right, this is really tricky actually. It's a case of sort of getting tabs in the right places, and let me pull this out. I'm going to have to start again. So you've got a tab there which wants to come through that piece there, so that wire might be possibly too high up. The seat seems to be a little bit wider than the frame, so you just kind of need to bend the frame a little bit to fit. So let's get this bit in first. And what is helpful is you can see the steering wheel there now. At the moment you can see that's not lined up, so that the seat wants to go a little bit more forward, so maybe it doesn't want to go so far down, but that tab definitely looks made to fit. So right, let me just try, let me have a look at the next stage. Yeah, so the next step is to fit the screws in. So if we try and get one screw in and it connects, which that isn't, that's not connecting, so that tells us it's not connected properly, and the only way I'm going to get that screw out is to remove all of the seats. So we need to get that over that peg, and that is the battle. Oh, this is hard work. I'm so glad they've done this as a separate stage, because if you think, oh yeah, I've got 5 minutes on the end of that stage, I'll do it. Right, and it's made really hard with the camera. Right, I am convinced that that screw hole is lined up. It wasn't, it's actually now gone down a bit. Right, that is now lined up. So I don't think this is going to go in because Oh, it's going. It is going. And that steering bit moves a little bit. So this screw is rotating. So, and it doesn't seem to be coming out. Right. I think that might be in. Let's turn it over. And then the question we're asking here is, do my seats look okay? You can't see much there, guys. But, so, there's the commander's seat. I believe that's the commander's. And that looks acceptable. And then that's one of the crew seats. That whole thing there is quite loose. There's another seat in there. I think that's okay. Let's have a look on the other side. So that's going to be the driver's seat. Doesn't look a lot of leg room, does it? And this is the back seat. So I'm going to go with that, guys. I'm happy enough with that. Right, a lot of flipping around, and you know I don't like flipping models around. Right, so those screws are in, and now there's two cats on my seat. I'm so sorry, cats. I'm so sorry. I don't like putting you down. I don't like putting you on the floor. Right, so the next step then is installing the seats in the cab. Lower the, so we need to be playing with this, and that needs to go through this hole there, and that's not going all the way through. So, right, okay, I can see why. It's not, you've got the steering column in there, so it needs to go into there and into the steering column. And I don't know if you can see it, there's a little silver bit there. There it is. That's the end of the steering. So that's in. Feeder steering, the L-shaped end must rest within the section outlined in red. So it must, this bit is outlined in red. So it must be anywhere in that area. In other words, it shouldn't be over there, it shouldn't be over there. Right. Check that the steering column is projecting into the cab, which we have done, and then we need to push the steering wheel firmly onto. That's going to be tricky, so I think the easiest way to do that is to move this onto its side, more specifically on its right side, because then that will give us access to the steering. We're going to have to hold that steering down to stop it from pushing out, and put my finger over the steering. Oh, that's moved. It's a good job we checked that. Right, so I'm holding the bottom of the steering, the silver bit, and you know, I'm going to take this out and have a practice run. Right, that's why it didn't go on. It's shaped. So that makes life better in the sense that I know what's happening. But you must get that through that hole. There it is. Right. So oh, this is hard. I think that's on. Yeah, that's on. So it's a bit precarious, but it's on. Right, so now we need to flip it back onto its back. To be honest with you guys, I'm not going to be using the steering an awful lot. I don't think it's going to work that well anyway. When you have a lot of weight pushing down on the wheels, it tends to not work. Right, so we need to get this the correct way round. This bar has got two holes. That looks like a screw hole, and that looks like an ordinary hole. So that's going to go over the steering, and right, okay, I've just done that backwards. So this needs to go onto there, and then this needs to go on there, and that goes. No, that doesn't want to go on there. Right, so this is going to be screwed in place with a type L screw there, and I do have a type L screw. The L screws are the top hat screws. Now this might be tricky to get started. There we go, that's why it's going to be tricky to get started. I'm just going to put that on just enough to bite, because it says fit the steering strut onto the end of the steering column. The bracket fits onto the projecting hole, and oh, how crazy is that? Right, back on the outside of the cab, first check the steering struts fit the steering wheel bracket and the orientation shown. Right, I know that piece is on correctly. Now, fit the steering strut onto the end of the steering column. The bracket fits onto the projecting post circled in the photo above. But that's all it's done. There's no, it doesn't say to secure it with a screw. That's crazy. Right, so it means we can take this out, doesn't it? So I'll finish screwing this on. And obviously we don't want to do it too tight because it will restrict any movement. And then that goes on to there, and then the next step, we want to turn to this little white bit. This white bit goes over there. Fix the strut into place by pushing and securing tab over the two pins. I don't know, guys. Well, I'm guessing there's going to be a platform on there, isn't there? But basically we've got a steering column that's secured by a push fit connection, which we know has a tendency to not stay on. So that's all that's holding that together. How odd. Right, so I'm going to go with it. Hopefully I'm going to be a bit naughty and have a quick look at the first stage of pack 9. Wow, that's it. We don't touch it anymore. That is that done, guys. I'm really not happy with that, I'll be honest with you. So what I am going to do is I don't want those pieces falling off. I don't think there's anywhere for them to fall off onto, but until we do something with the bottom, which we obviously are going to do something with the bottom, I'm going to put a piece of masking tape down there, and then I'm going to put another piece of masking tape. Quite a lot of times on this part work and other part works, I've gone I'm really not happy with that. It doesn't look secure. You know, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. But quite often, at some point in the future, we're like, oh, that worked. Excuse me, sorry, that came suddenly. So it could be that when we put the wheels on, there could be a screw hole there, and then that will be secure. I really don't know. So that's the end of that stage. That's stage 57A. So what did you think, guys? I was quite happy with those 3 stages. I was a little bit concerned about the storage compartment, but that's not a problem. I'll let it sit for a few weeks and see if it grows on me. If it just bugs me too much, I'll take it out. I'll take the pegs off and I'll put some glue, maybe some epoxy or something, and just I can get that closed down. And I think the pegs just aren't quite right. And I'm also not happy with the way the steering is. I think I'm not happy where they've left it, but I'm going to give it time. I've taped it down so it should be safe. How many times have we done a part work and they've left it at a stage we're not happy with, and then at a future issue then we do some more work on it and then we go, actually it was best the way it did that. So yeah, I'm happy with this overall. Leave a comment if you want, tell me what you think. So take care, guys, I'll see you in the next video.